after Sonic the Hedgehog launched the Sega Genesis to new heights in 1991, plans for a sequel were put rapidly into place. Since then, however, there had been some internal shakeups at Sega. Perhaps shakiest of all, lead Sonic designer Yuji Naka had left Sonic Team entirely, complaining of poor work conditions. How then to get the band back together? Enter Sega Technical Institute, or STI for short, the company's American development wing headed up by Mark Cerny. Cerny managed to convince Naka to rejoin development for Sonic 2, in the hopes that the American work machine might treat him a little better. The project became a major collaboration between Japan and America, with developers from the former coming to work in LA-based offices. In this sequel, Sonic would be faster, the levels would be bigger, and we'd be introduced to lovable sidekick Miles Tails Prower, who enabled two-player competitive and cooperative modes. The only hitch? In an effort to maintain an edge over Nintendo in the console wars, Sega decided the game would need to be released for holiday 1992, giving the team a mere 9 months of development time. This time crunch resulted in many unhappy compromises, a wealth of cut content, and some serious tension between the American and Japanese devs. In spite of all that, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 still made it to store shelves on November 24, 1992, in both the US and Europe, an unprecedentedly firm international release date for video games up to that point. Thanks to Sega's aggressive marketing and the world's love of blue hedgehogs, the game was a massive hit. I don't know what day of the week it is for you, but as long as you're listening to this episode, it's officially Sonic Tuesday. It's a video game podcast.
Wow.
And there's so much to discuss. One of us knows all about them.
That's you.
And the other one's a dunce.
That's me.
You're gonna learn about the very best games with two annoying dorks.
Fatality.
From asteroids to Zelda, from adventure to Zork. We have no life, and we feel no shame. We need your help, 'cause we're bad with games. Bad with games. Welcome to the show. My name is Jonathan.
My name's Will.
And we are Bad with Games.
Woo! We're going real fast this
today.
week. We're going real fast.
This episode's going to be double time. We're going to get it over in under an hour.
Make sure to listen to it on ×2 speed.
All right, first up, box art breakdown. Looks good. Next up.
What are we talking about today? Why are we going so fast? Why is everything so speedy? I wanted to stop and smell the roses.
No time for that, my frere.
What?
You know, it's French for brother. No time for that, because this week we're discussing the one and only, the fastest hedgehog in the West. The fastest thing alive, I've heard tell.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2 came out in 1992 for the Sega Genesis, the sequel to the original Sonic the Hedgehog. You've got a chance to watch us play through the game this week if you're over on YouTube at Bad With Games. Otherwise, you can listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. We've also got bonus content on our sister channel on YouTube, Worse With Games, because we played through a portion of this game together and recorded it for your benefit and enjoyment. And if that video is up there right now, if you are a patron. If you are not a patron, you have to wait. Patrons got this video a full week ahead of the masses.
Sonic would be a patron. Sonic would not be sitting around waiting for a video. That's crazy. You want to be like
give
Sonic,
us his hard-earned
right?
rings. Yeah. So that again, we played that before we're recording this. That's happened already. So if you want the correct timeline, you may want to watch that video first. Otherwise, that's patreon.com/badwithgames to subscribe to see that. And one final very important reminder, we are just a couple of weeks away from our season finale episode, in which we will be giving out our baddie awards for this season, a momentous occasion, and we want to hear from you as to how you're feeling about it. Go ahead and check out the show notes or the description of our episode right below, and you will find a link to a Google survey asking you for your favorite game that we covered from this season, as well as an extra little question if you have any other comments or thoughts about the season as a whole. We want to know, which game do you think deserves the Bad with Games Season 2 Audience Award? So please give it a look. And I think that'll do it. Don't forget to follow us on twitch.tv/badwithgamespodcast to see Will's weekly streams on Saturday afternoons. Does that make you happy?
We're not. That would make me happy, but we're not talking about today. No, not that old plumber. He's old news.
I'm gonna bleep his name.
Because we're here talking about today. Sonic 2, Sonic 2 Hedgehog.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget the Hedgehog. You can't just say Sonic 2. You gotta get the full title. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. This comes out, for those of you paying attention, for those of you keeping track at home, this is only 1 year later from the first Sonic game. So not only does Sonic go fast, the developers go really fast. They are racing to it. And at this point, we talked about this a little bit in the first Sonic episode, but we're really in full speed on the console wars right now. Mm-hmm. This is Sega's big play after the first Sonic was a hit. They really were like, we got to get something out. We don't want to lose our front running position against Nintendo. Get us Sonic 2.
Yeah, kids back in those days did not have any attention span like we do today. Like there was just a crisis back then. Everybody was couldn't wait even 1 year for the new game.
Certainly not the ones playing Sonic.
That's true. It's
Mario kids were doing it.
Yeah. But like you're saying these developers go so fast, this only came out a year later, and we are starting to get to that point in time where games really do need more than that much development. But since you started me on all the old games, I am still kind of in this mindset of, oh, a whole year? Well, yeah, of course they got another game out.
Yeah. Well, that was true for the arcades and for certain computer games in the 80s, but now that we're on Super Nintendo and Genesis, they're a bit more intensive.
No, I do fully understand that, right? This is not not like Ultima, like some game you can just crank any of those out. They're like whatever, you don't even have to try. But Sonic, now that's a game you really gotta, pour your heart.
Plus,
we're
talking about, this is Sega. This isn't like a couple of guys in their garage. This is a full company. This is a first-party title. The makers of the console it's on, they have to do the whole marketing push. They have to get advertising and Burger King toys, right? So they're doing the whole 9 yards in under a year's span of time. It was like 9 months of actual full development on this game.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about this now, and the timeline gets even more compressed because it's very easy when doing the podcast to say, like, well, I talked about Sonic 1, so that happened. Okay, now I'm just not going to think about that. Now I'm thinking about Sonic 2. Wow, only a year of development. But if I think about it, like, that was the first Sonic game, and you were telling me last time that Sega basically said, we need a Mario, right? Like, we need a character who's going to come out here and be like the face of the brand, and everybody's going to love him, and this is our new franchise. So they do all that. You don't know if that's gonna work, right? So you do all of that. You release that game, and now we've got a year to push the new one. Like, how do you even have time to because you also have to judge the public's reaction. Do people actually like this? Is this actually going to be the face of our brand? Did this work? So that's also that reaction has to also be in that year timeline. Um, like, unless they were just so crazy confident that they were like, we already know it's going to work before it even comes out. We already know. We just get to work immediately. Turn around, get to work. We're not even looking at the numbers. We know Sonic is popular.
It's, in my opinion, it's even crazier than that,
Hmm.
because in fact, there's this whole thing I talked about a little bit in the intro. There's a book called Console Wars, which I think we're going to do in the Patreon soon, which talks a lot about this period. But there's this whole internal conflict between Sega's Japan and America segments, and Sega of Japan didn't really know if they wanted a new Sonic game. They were less enthusiastic about it. And Yuji Naka, who is like the guy, there's a lot of people involved with the creation of Sonic, but he's now sort of known as the creator ultimately. He had left Sega. He was like, "This sucks. I'm leaving." And that's part of the reason why they had, even from that year out, they had even less time than they wanted, because Sega of Japan was being hesitant and not giving them the full go ahead until finally they were like, you know what? It is actually a good idea to make one. And so they had to scramble to finish it. So it's a wild story. I mean, not all video game behind the scenes stories are that noteworthy or entertaining, but this is particularly this one. They wrote a book about it, and I think it was supposed to have be optioned for a movie. It hasn't come out or had any news on it, but it easily could be. This is at least Tetris levels of interest. I mean, I guess there's no Russian. I don't know. They could make shit up. They could make shit up.
They could make shit up. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I guess it just
Just like they
depends
did in
on
that movie.
what you're more interested in. But
Yeah, in terms of like interpersonal drama
yeah,
and business drama, that stuff is there for
yeah,
sure.
it's just not like the political thriller, right? Like
Right.
sneak it out under the Soviets or whatever.
Which they fucking made that up. It's like 10% true.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, you can listen to our first Sonic episode from earlier this season, but I don't know. Is there anything we need to add in terms of our personal lore that relates to Sonic 2 or Sonic as a general franchise? What do you think?
Um, I don't know that I have anything to say about Sonic 2 that I wouldn't have had to say about Sonic 1. You know, like I feel like anything to do with added characters or things like that is all stuff that would have come up last time. I kind of feel like just directing people back and saying, why aren't you listening to more of us? Go listen to Sonic 1 again if you don't
They
remember.
might have forgotten.
Study
It's
up.
been a while.
Study up.
Well, Tails is new in this, and you do know
Mhm.
who Tails
I
is.
do know who Tails is, but I think I did like talk about that to some extent last time because my Sonic lore prior to this podcast is that I hadn't really played any Sonic games. I'd seen, friends playing them, a lot of, especially the early ones. I mean, no, not especially the early ones. I can't tell any of the Sonics apart, right? Like I'd be able to say like that one's in 3D and that one's not, but I wouldn't I wouldn't even necessarily know what game went with what, right? But I am very aware of Sonic as a cultural phenomenon, particularly on the internet as an old internet denizen and lurker, I'm very aware of all of the Sonic subcultures and all of
All of
that.
them.
All of that. All of it. Maybe not all of it, but to a
All of
pretty
it.
reasonable degree.
Yeah. My Sonic lore for Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is pretty much exactly the same as it was for 1, in that I did not grow up with a Genesis. I was a Nintendo kid. I think my first exposure to really playing the Sonic games in earnest was the Wii Virtual Console when they came out for that. I'm pretty sure I covered all this stuff. And so that's where Sonic 2 fell in for me. I played through those first two games. I can't remember. So I have played this before. I'm not sure if I ever actually beat it or played it all the way through, or if I did do it on the Wii, I possibly cheated using save states and stuff. I don't remember.
Mhm.
Which I think I'm pretty sure I had beaten the first Sonic when I played it, but 2 I might have not. Like I said, I just don't remember. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, so I have, I'm familiar. I was familiar with this game. I think this week was the first time I really tried the multiplayer, which was with you, which we'll talk
Mhm.
about. But other than that, we both have passing levels of Sonic knowledge in terms of the lore. But of course, I've played a lot more of the games than you.
Right.
You've played 2 of them,
I have played 2 of them. Pretty good.
3 if you count Super Smash Brothers. He's in it.
Yeah, I've played a version of that has Sonic in it. Yes, I
Yeah,
definitely have.
yeah, yeah. He's in that one. He's in 2 of them, maybe 3. I don't know. 4? All of them? Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is what we're going to talk about. Before we get into it, we have to break down the box art
We have
in
to.
the box art breakdown segment.
I know Sonic's waiting over here, but we
Sorry,
we
Sonic.
just don't have a choice.
He's
We
already
gotta do
gone.
it.
He's not waiting at all. All right, Sonic 2 box art. If you're watching the YouTube, you can see it. Otherwise, use your imagination. It's got Sonic and Tails up in front. Sonic has his arms folded. Tails has his hands on his hips. If you don't know who Tails is a little fox who has 2 tails.
Mhm.
And they both are looking forward at the camera, looking pretty cool. In the background is a big old 3D number 2, which is being crushed at the top by the giant hand of Dr. Robotnik, whose only his face is visible. He dissolves down from his beard into nothing, but
Mhm.
he's in the shadows in the background looking sinister, grimacing with big black eyes that almost look like they don't have pupils or even eyeballs at all in them.
Yeah, it looks like the sort of thing that could be a cutout on the if this was like less
Like
of
a
a box
Halloween
and
mask.
oh yeah, I mean I was thinking like if this was like the manual cover or something and not like just the box, or you know how sometimes you can like see into it, right?
Like the Zelda box that had the little
Sure.
shiny gold thing.
Yes, yes, that was the Zelda thing. Yes.
Yeah. And of course, it says Sonic the Hedgehog 2 at the bottom is the logo. I think to me, this is a pretty fun, iconic box art. What say you?
It is fun. I do like, Sonic looks cool-ish. He looks weird. I don't know that I like this Sonic. I feel like this is a box art that when I first look at it, I say, "Oh yeah, Sonic and Tails, I like it." Oh, and look at Eggman, he's crushing the 2. Ooh, he looks so scary. But like the more I look at it, the more I start just seeing details and thinking like, what's going on here? I don't know how I feel about this box art.
I'm sure we brought this up in the first episode too, but I assume one of your issues is Sonic's eyes.
Yes, but it's more, first of all, Sonic looks too tall and stretched out. Like his body, he's still got that like round kind of like big circles thing that he had going on for like the first game in the cartoon, but it kind of just looks like he's been pulled a little bit. Like his body is very oval. It's not like a little body with a big head, and his head is too tall as well. It's much taller than it is wide. There's too much space between
Hmm.
his head spines and back spines. Like his head is sitting too high on the body. He looks so weird. And that does translate to the eyes too. The eyes are a little bit too tall and skinny. Why are his feet pointy? Like what's going on? He looks odd.
To me, the issue is not his height. Certainly not with the eyes. I mean, we've talked about before how he has one giant
Yeah.
eye with 2 pupils.
Yeah.
But if you look really close at the
Mhm.
further eye,
Yeah.
it's like centered on
Yeah.
his face. And if I look at it for more than 5 seconds, it doesn't even make sense to my brain anymore. It
Well,
just
see,
looks like a mistake.
so I talked about this a little bit last time, but I personally think that like one of the most iconic things in a Sonic design to me is that his eyes should be fucked up and kind of off-putting. So like the fact that that is
So
true
why not his
doesn't bother
body
me.
too? His
Yeah,
body
it's
can be
just
fucked up too. You're a
it doesn't
hypocrite.
it doesn't look like Sonic's body. It looks like Sonic got stretched in a Laffy Taffy machine and
You
then they
better
like
get used
rolled
to it,
his feet
man.
into points. No, because I've seen later Sonic designs and it's not like it's like they didn't like redesign his body, they just pulled it. The other way at least they just design him to be taller. Like it's weird. I don't like it.
I don't think it's that weird. I think you're
I
overreacting.
hate it.
I think you're being ridiculous. His feet aren't pointy, just his shoes are pointy.
Yeah. No, I don't like that either.
I think it's fun.
Tails' shoes aren't pointy. Like they've got little points at the end, but at least like
Because he's
you can
small.
fit like a foot in it.
Now hold on.
It's
They're
just,
not pointy, but they have little points at the end.
no, but
Sounds
you
pointy
you
to me.
see what I mean. Like there's a big curve to it where you could actually fit the feet. Sonic, it's just like this. It looks like a carrot. Like they were doing foot binding on him or something.
I know you're just upset that you can't see his feet. You just
I
wish that
am.
they would take him out of those
Listen,
shoes.
if he took him out of those shoes, if he took off the shoes, if I could just see those feet, maybe I'd be happy.
Tails does kind of look like he's wearing a wife beater, doesn't he?
He does. I didn't notice
He
that, but now that you
just
say
looks
it,
like he
immediately,
came out of
yeah.
his garage with a 6-pack of beers.
Photoshop what Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force on there.
Yeah. But I just think the thing I love about this is the giant 2 being crushed. I feel like that is really like,
Yeah.
it's just telling you, hey, look, this isn't the old Sonic. We want to make sure you know this is number 2, baby. Look how fucking big it is on the cover. This is crazy. Get ready for this shit. It's 2.
Yeah, I do like the giant too. I like that it's being crushed. I also like the checkerboard pattern along the side of it. It gives that like racetrack speedy feel to it. Like I do feel like this cover looks kind of speedy even though nobody's moving, which I think that's good.
Right. Yeah.
Um
That's true.
what's up with Tails' eyes? Like are they supposed to not be connected?
They're not connected at all. Yeah, no, that's 2
Yeah,
separate eyes.
they look weird. They're 2 separate eyes. I don't know if that's normal for him. They look like they're different sizes. Like it looks like
This
that's
is
more than
why
just perspective.
Yeah, that's why Sonic is so weird. Is because like almost no one else in the Sonic universe has eyes like that. He's like the only one. That's not true. Maybe Knuckles does too. I haven't looked at these characters in a while, but I think it's weird, just because they're in contrast. But no, Tails always has 2 separate eyes.
It's always so hard to know because like they redesigned these characters a bunch, and also I've probably looked. Well, not probably. I've spent significantly more time looking at Sonic fan art than official Sonic art, so it's hard for me to know. Like when I look at that and I'm just like, yeah, that's a Tails. That is like it's clearly a Tails. Is that an official Tails? Is that a normal Tails? I don't know. None of them are. So now when I'm actually seeing a normal Tails, it's hard to say.
Yeah. Well, what can you do? Kind of want to eat that too. Kind of looks like it'd be made of chocolate, like it's crunchy and
Huh.
delicious.
I could see it. I could see that. I do kind of wish there was more of a background in it, because instead of just a gradient, but I don't want too much detail either. I don't know what I
It's
want.
fine. It's fine. You don't need anything. This is all you need. There's Sonic, there's Tails, there's a big 2. I'm sold.
Yeah. Yeah, listen, like I said, I think first glance it's good, but it's like really easy for me to nitpick it the more I look at it.
Don't look at it so close. What are you looking at it for?
I
What, do you have a whole segment where you have to look at it and comment on it for 10 minutes?
I can't keep my eyes off of the 2 of them, Sonic and Tails. They're so cool.
I still think Dr.
Drawn
Robotnik
in.
is the scariest part of this fucking thing. Why
He
did they
does
give
look
him no
weird and
eyes?
fucked up, yeah.
And that's some scary shit.
The place where his beard kind of fades out makes it kind of like doesn't it look like maybe it's enormous? Like maybe it's a huge ass fucking like 3 foot long. Like he looks like an evil wizard. I guess mad scientists are kind of like modern wizards in a way.
Yeah, in a way. He's a techno wizard.
Yeah.
He's got no nails. His fingers just look like they're made of clay.
Yeah, And he's not wearing
Also
gloves,
weird.
like, you don't have to worry about that with Sonic and Tails.
Are those
But
maybe
yeah.
just 3 dicks? Do you think? All right, I think we've broken down that box art. Now we can talk about the game proper, Sonic the Hedgehog 2. For anyone who's not familiar, Sonic is a side-scrolling platformer. You control Sonic the Hedgehog. You move from left to right through various zones, collecting rings along the way. Those rings are your life total. If you get hit, you lose them, and you got to get more because if you get hit again without any rings, you die. Now, in Sonic 2, follows a similar formula, but there's a few new ingredients. Of particular note, we have Tails. Tails is there. He will be hanging out as you play. If you're playing with 2 players, someone else can control Tails while you play. There's also a competitive mode we can talk about later. And you fight bosses, you still fight Robotnik, all that stuff. Sonic also has a new move, the Spin Dash, which
Mhm.
lets him curl up and rev up and zoom away really fast. So you don't need to run back and get a head start if you slow down at all. Other than that, the formula is more or less very similar to the original. Now, I actually, this is one of the rare weeks where I got to see you play some of this in advance. So I have a
Mhm.
little bit of an idea of what's going on with you.
Yeah, you have a little bit of an idea. It is one of those things that is, like, I can have very or anybody can have very different impressions of the game depending on where they come in. So, like, you had seen me I played a little bit for one day, got stuck, and then came in to mess around in two-player with you. So, I hadn't really had normally by the time I do these episodes, I've had a little bit of time to at least try to work through my roadblocks, one way or another, but I hadn't actually started really working through that roadblock yet. So, you know, um I do think you should go check out that video because John gets a little bit frustrated with me. It's pretty fun.
I might have screamed quite a bit. I might have been shocked at my own voice when I was editing that video. Like a demon possessed me. That's how much you enraged me as I watched you play. But that being said,
Mhm,
why don't you walk us through what were your first impressions? What was your journey with this game? Because my assumption is, my guess
mhm.
is, based on this game and based on other games we've played, is that I'm guessing you're going to come out and say that for the most part to you this just felt like playing Sonic 1 again. But you tell me how that went.
So, in a lot of ways, that's true. Like, I do think that there are a lot of ways in which this did feel like Sonic 1, and especially when you load it right up. I don't. I because these graphics are all old to me, as far as I'm not seeing them back to back, it kind of feels like, yep, that's the Sonic graphics. That's Sonic. That's how Sonic moves. Here we are in Emerald Hill Zone. There's the music, whatever. It very much feels like if you didn't have Tails popping on screen when you first load up this game, I don't even know how you would tell in the first level. Um so, you do have that. That being said, as you go forward through the levels, one thing that we talked about last time is that the Sonic 1 does a lot more with platforming and there are fewer as you get past zone 1, there's fewer loop-de-loops, there's fewer rails, there's less going super super fast, and it's more like, okay, jump over these boxes, jump through this, wait for this, do this. And I do think that while there is a challenge there to be had in terms of, well, now that you know it, you should be able to do it without slowing down. The game really, really needs you to go through it extremely slowly on your first attempt, your first many attempts until you learn it. And I found that to be significantly less true for Sonic 2. I found that um, I could get away with just bolting forward as though it was going to be fine in Sonic 2 for the most part, even if I didn't know what was coming and hadn't seen it before. When once even past the first level, you still die that way sometimes, but it wasn't just like you don't even get half a screen before you die, the way that it was true in the first Sonic. Additionally, in this game, you get tails, which I think I mentioned last time might have just been like a big improvement just because you have tails. And
Tails
that
bump.
yeah, I mean that I'm not gonna lie, I did notice that. It made a difference to the experience of playing the game, not because Tails is particularly helpful or does much, like occasionally he'll collect a ring or hit an enemy or open a gate or whatever, but there is something that feels pretty like a little bit different eh, about just having Tails there with you, right? Like, I'm going through this level and here's my buddy. He's also with me. Is he helping? No, but here he is, and he's always around. Sometimes I outpace him and he flies back. I like that he's there. I love having little guys around, and having a little guy who follows you around is great, even if he's worthless. I think to me, that was one of the biggest differences between this and Sonic 1 is that there just always was a Tails.
Well, we talked about this in Sonic 1. You had mentioned how you didn't think the like designs were very good, and you had said, "Oh, if I went to like a Sonic theme park, I feel like I wouldn't necessarily recognize a lot." But then I
Mm,
reminded you like, "Well, you're just saying that now because we haven't seen like Tails, Knuckles, Amy, all these people who come
mhm.
later. In the first game, you just have Sonic and Robotnik, right?
Yes,
And
I
none of the
remember that
enemies are
now.
too memorable."
Mhm,
And I do think the Sonic series has shockingly good character design.
mhm,
I mean that's probably like the reason that it continues to be so popular is because those characters are truly just very very appealing to like everybody. And the idea that first they had to come up with the anti Mario and develop Sonic and were successful. And then the second time around they were like, well, we need another guy to go with them. And they did it again. And they hit it out of the park
mhm,
again is very impressive. And yeah, it does add a whole other dimension. You do kind of feel like even if he's not really doing anything, he's not really
mhm,
contributing anything to the conversation here. He, as you said, he is there, and there is maybe a subtle effect where you feel less lonely, which sounds like a silly
mhm,
thing to say playing a video game, but it does kind of feel like, oh, I'm dying, I'm losing, maybe where I might be getting frustrated sometimes. Now you might think, I'm with my buddy Tails. He's
mhm.
here, my little buddy Tails.
Yeah, and on the rare occasion where you get hit and he picks up one of your rings, so, like, you're not vulnerable for that moment, or, like, when he gets one extra hit in on Robotnik or something, so you don't have to wait as long for the boss fight, like, you are like, "Good job, Tails, I'm glad you're here." He doesn't, like it's like it's a nice little level of, like, it doesn't really make the game any easier, but does make you,
Right.
appreciate that he's like, you feel like he is there.
He also is a really good example of how Sonic, especially maybe more than and most others, especially Sonic 2, a a real example of America and Japan working together to create something and how you can see those two influences because the original Tails design came from Japan and their name for him was Miles Prower.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which I do
And that's a
love. Mhm.
yes, obviously a pun, a lot of fun. But that was the name. They were like, "This is Miles Prower. Put Miles Prower in the game." And
Mhm.
America was like, "We cannot sell a
Mhm.
character named Miles Prower.
Mhm.
we we have to let's why can't we call him Tails instead?" And Japan was like, Fine, I guess that could be
Yeah.
his nickname.
No,
if you
Miles
want.
Prower is like a guy. Miles Prower is like that's like a Duke Nukem type or something. He's like a cool race car driver. It's not a
What?
little baby fox.
I'm picturing a nerd. Miles? That's a nerd with glasses and a cubicle. It's not a cool guy.
But Miles Prower, he's
No.
fast.
Prower
I don't
sounds
think
so
Miles.
dumb. It sounds dumb.
I think
Miles is a
you
dork
don't
name.
appreciate it. No, Miles Prower is much cooler
Name
than
a
you.
cool Miles. Teller is the only one, I guess. That's it. And he's not even that cool.
Listen, he's cooler than you.
That's a low bar.
I will
And
say this.
You know what? No, he's not. Tails is a little dweeb.
One thing that's kind of like it makes me wish, because it's so. Is he the only one who has like a real name, right? Like Sonic, that's his
Right.
name, and
Right.
Shadow, that's. I mean, I kind of it almost does make me wish that every Sonic character had a quote unquote real name that was a dumbass pun. But nobody ever called them by that, and it was because like that's like a bit of trivia. What's Tails' real name? Like nobody knows that. I mean, people do.
Well,
but...
I mean, a lot of people do. Not people who don't play Sonic games.
Yeah, but like if you were to, I do think the vast majority of people who know who Tails is. Right, because the vast majority of people who know who Tails is have not played Sonic games because he's such an iconic character.
Is it? I have never
think so.
seen the second movie. Do they say Miles Prower in it?
They probably do.
So
like offhandedly.
Yeah, then I bet a lot of people know.
It's like an Easter egg, though.
Yeah, but I bet, like, if you're a kid and you have, like, a Tails action figure...
Well, yes, if you're a kid and you have a Tails action... But, like, this is... Listen, this is one of those things where if you were to go around and be like, how many people can name one Pokemon? The answer is, like, 98% of America. Okay, how many can name two? Well, now it's 60%. How many can name more than 10? Okay, you're probably down to, like, 20%. It's more people than you think know who Tails is, but don't know anything about him.
That's interesting. Yeah,
that's what I think, anyway.
My assumption would be you either know, if you know who Tails is, there's like a very good chance you also know his name. That if you don't know who he is, you probably just know nothing about the series.
It's interesting because that could be because we're coming at this from totally different perspectives. Where I'm just like, I am very... you're like, I played the games a bunch, and I'm like, I'm immersed in the ways in which this has pervaded out into culture, but not having played the games. So it feels to me like, well, yes, of course, everybody has seen how Sonic has just gotten out into the culture, because that's what I saw.
I feel like your version of the culture, though, is weird internet people.
Well, yes. No, right? the actual number of people who know who Tails is not actually... Listen, it's not a Pokemon thing. It's just...
Yeah. There's never been a Tails video game. It's always Sonic, and he's in there.
I think you're underestimating how popular these characters are.
I don't think you're like totally wrong. I just think I probably imagine it's a little bit smaller of a margin than you think.
It could be, but
the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. But we love Tails. We love Miles Tails Prower and his friend. Fuck. and his good friend, the star of the games, of course, whose name is Iago Sonic Fast.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but you have to name him Iago.
No, that rules. No, that rules. No, I love it. That's his name.
God.
That's his real name from now on. Iago Fast.
Speaking of which, Sonic does go, this is true, much faster in this game than the first one. In the first game, they capped him at a certain speed. In this game, he ain't capped. So you actually can go way faster in this game.
No cap?
No cap. No cap. And bet, my friend, bet. And on God, for real. And the levels are also a lot bigger. There are more alternate routes. I don't know how much of that you noticed this
It's
time around, but it is true.
it's hard to tell because I'm not playing them back to back.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would believe it. I did notice more alternate routes, but like I said, without seeing them back to back, it's hard to know if that's because maybe I'm a little bit better at platformers now, so I was more able to like say, okay, I'll go this way or I'll try to go this way and it works as opposed to maybe last time is like that's the only way maybe I could try to go that other way, but I can't do it, so I'm not even looking for it. I'm going the way that I know how to go and that's that. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
hard to say, but I would believe it. I found more alternate routes, and the levels did feel big.
Yeah, they feel big, they are big. I do think the graphics are nicer, although you're not wrong, it's not a night and day difference.
Mhm.
But I do think they pop a little bit more. I think it's even with Sonic moving faster, I feel like it's even smoother than the first one was, which was pretty smooth, all things considered.
Mhm.
You also have a second guy, even if he's not doing anything. So like it is technically, I think, impressive what they pulled off. I To what you were saying about feeling like you could go faster and kind of run into stuff. I do think overall the second game is easier than the first. Although there may be a few areas that are maybe tough or as tough as the original. I think overall it is more forgiving in that I just felt like it was very rare that I just couldn't find more rings. So I think that even if you're going super fast and you get hit a lot, you're just going to get more rings pretty quick and you'll probably be fine. Most of my deaths in this game really just came from boss fights and like
Yes.
stupid mistakes.
There are several boss fights where there is a checkpoint right before the boss, and as far as I know, no rings between the checkpoint and the boss, and that made me so pissed off every time
Huh.
that happened.
I feel like that's interesting. I felt like I always remembered there being at least you could go back and get like 3.
Maybe I
Unless
like maybe there was a way to go back and I just didn't realize you could do it. Like or I wasn't like good enough
Yeah.
to get up the ledge or something and I just needed to backtrack for them.
I would believe
Maybe
there
I
was
just
maybe
ran
1
forward.
or 2, but
Yeah.
I don't think there were several.
Yeah, I mean maybe it was just a case of me being all like, "Okay, time to run straight to the boss. Why are there no rings on this path?" And I needed to
Yeah,
listen.
that
I'm not
sounds
going
right. That sounds like
backwards.
you. That sounds a
That's
lot
stupid.
like
That's
you.
slow, bad. I've got places to be. You know, who the hell do you think I am? I'm
Now
Sonic.
I do think
Iago
that this
fast.
game this game still does have, one of the hallmarks that I talked about a lot in the first episode, which was gotcha moments. In fact, in one level at least, I think it's the third zone, desert, not desert. What is it called? Aquatic ruins, maybe is the third one.
I believe
Um,
that's true. Yes, the opposite of a desert.
well, what are you gonna do? Where there are multiple parts where robots literally bust out of the wall like the Kool-Aid Man. And like just right at the end of a path where you're going
Mhm.
super fast, are like, hey, what's going on? Was the bane of my existence in the first game. Still annoyed me in this one, but like I said,
Mhm.
because I felt like the rings were so plentiful, it it still fucked me up a little, but I guess it's like I said, it's because I was able to get around it. Either I learned where to jump when I
Yeah.
replayed it, or I just found the rings and I didn't die and I didn't have to replay it, so it didn't annoy me as much as the
Y-
first one.
yeah, so that is the thing that that is what I was going to say is I think that they are easier to avoid and fewer. So not easier to avoid in the sense that like oh, they pop out of the wall and you're not going to see them coming, but like if you know there's a section in this level where robots pop out of the wall, I think it is easier to jump and hit those or like slow down than it is some of the things that like, "Oh, this spring does nothing but knock you backward into a lava pit," that are sometimes, like, actually really hard to avoid. Um, with these, I think they're easier to avoid, and, like, as you said, there are some, but aren't that many, especially compared to the first game. So, it's not like you have to fully have the entire level completely memorized, and the first time you go through it, you have to go very, very slow. This time you go fast, you get fucked up a little bit, a couple of times, whatever, and then next time you do it, you get fucked up maybe once, maybe twice, and then after that, you're hopefully okay because they're
Yeah.
just it's not that hard to learn.
Yeah, there are. So when you get to like the very late levels, there's one in particular called Metropolis Zone, I believe, that I do think has way more bullshit of that
Mm,
kind in it. There's way more like, here's a guy, fuck you. But by the time I got there, I had the same feeling where I was getting a lot of rings, so it was okay. And also, I had built up a lot of extra lives and continues along the way earlier than that. So I was like, okay, I can make my way through this and it doesn't feel as bad. But I won't say the bullshit is not there. It's still there. They've just alleviated it. Or I think perhaps the levels around them are just better designed and more fun to be in. And I do think that that is true. That was another one of my issues with the first game where I felt like Green Hill Zone was really propping up that whole game on its back with how good it was compared to the other levels. I think that on average, all the levels in Sonic 2 are much stronger than the ones in the original Sonic. I think they are more interesting to explore. They're bigger. They have more stuff to see and do. And they have like a few more gimmicks, especially as you progress into them. There's some levels where you have to pull a switch, pull a lever to open a door, or like
mhm.
stand on a thing and wait until it shoots you up in the air. And they feel more distinct. Whereas I feel like in Sonic 1, it was mostly just a skin. Like there's a water level, so that's pretty different. But they didn't really have any fun gimmicks, in my opinion. They were more just here's a thing that's gonna torture you,
Mhm.
kind of a gimmick.
Yeah, I remember last time I spent most of the episode, like a lot of it, arguing with you because you were saying you just can't go fast on these levels, and I was saying, well, that's the point, is that you have to learn to go fast, right? Like you can go fast, but it's hard, and you have to learn the level. And uh, and we had that argument the whole time, and then at the end, you said like Emerald Hill Zone is the best level, and if they were all
Green
like
Hill
that,
Zone.
Green Hill. Why did I've said that twice now? Emerald Hill.
Well, and Emerald Hill is the new one, is in Sonic 2. The first one's green.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
yep, yep,
so
yep.
okay, so I would be able to tell just by the title card.
If you saw the title card, yes.
Okay, yeah, okay, sure, yeah. Um,
Go
yeah,
on.
listen, but yes, at like the
Mind
very
blown.
end of the episode, you had said like, well, Green Hill Zone is the best level, and if they had all been like that, it would have been better. And I was like, well, when you phrase it like that, I do think that's true. And maybe I have to eat everything I've been arguing all episode. Um, and I think that that is the case this game. That the levels are all more akin to what made Green Hill Zone good. Um, so I do agree that I think they're all better. I also think that, you're talking about like they've got these gimmicks with the levers and the switches and like hang from this and whatever. One thing I like about all of those is that they are all doable quite quickly, right? There's very, very few places, only a couple of places in this game where, the platforming is like, okay, these things are going to move back and forth in some kind of pattern, and you have to wait for it to be at the right spot and then hit. So if you're very, very precise in your reaction time, you could go straight through it. But if you're anything less than perfect, you probably are going to have to wait for it here. And Sonic's going to be tapping his foot, and you're going to be like, why am I not moving? Most of these things that you're talking about, you can do immediately. Like, I can just roll straight into that spring and shoot myself up. I can just, like, jump straight to that lever. I can go straight to this. Like, there's not much in the way of waiting for the level to be in the right position for you,
Mhm.
which I think really hurts the feel of Sonic until you can figure out how to not do that.
And
And
even
you
if
don't have
those
to figure
moments
it out.
come
Yeah.
up, he just goes so much faster that you
Mhm.
won't have to spend as much time building up speed. You'll be back in it pretty
Mhm.
quick. Which maybe brings us to the spin dash,
Mhm.
which to me is like maybe the biggest game changer I mean, I guess it's not bigger than the level design being better, but it's like if the spin dash was modded into Sonic 1, which I'm sure it has been, that would earn a few more points in my book for that game, probably in terms of its score, because I just love the fact that I never have to worry about, oh, I didn't go quite up this hill fast
Mhm.
enough. Oh, I'm stuck, or I have to like figure out a way. Oh, I can never get back up there now unless I start the level over because I just missed my running start. Now you have this spin move. You can tap A really fast and go boom and shoot off.
Yeah.
This and if you watch our playthrough video, you'll see that this was something you didn't quite key into at first.
Yeah, so when I read the manual for this game, I kind of looked through it and I was like, so basically everything in this manual is going over stuff that was in the original Sonic. Like it's all just more, or stuff that's like, this is specific to the pinball level. When you're here, press this button. I was like, whatever. If I get to the pinball level and I can't figure it out, I'll check back. And so I'm kind of going through it and just being like, none of this information is new. I don't need it. It's all fine. There is a section called the spin dash attack, and I think I breezed through that because I was like, Sonic has attacks. Yep, I remember how to do attacks. Like it didn't say like Sonic has a new move he can do this time. If you're stuck, you can go fast, which I would have noticed. So I think I just breezed through that the first time reading it.
You were like
Um,
Sonic, too fast.
I was going too fast. Um, so yeah, the spin dash is a nice it it's good because like what I like about it is that it's a way to avoid like feel bad situations. It makes the game less punishing. Um but it doesn't really like I don't think it really changes the game if you're good at it, which I think is actually a really good
Hmm.
place for it to be. Because I remember trying on the original game when you said, or not the original game, on when you first told me about it, there were a couple of levels where we were racing, and I was like, all right, well, we started a dead stop. Let me try the spin dash to get up to speed. And what I discovered was once you start moving with the spin dash, you accelerate faster, but you have to stop to start spinning. And I didn't actually, when you just started running and I started spin dashing, I didn't get out ahead of you, like at all. Like,
Hmm.
there's not really any point to using the spin dash other than I accidentally like, I stopped for some reason. I shouldn't have stopped. I should have just kept going, but I missed a jump. I missed something. I got hit. I'm stopped. And now I've got a thing that's hard to get through unless you're going fast. And that's where it really helps, which is nice. It means that the game is less like, haha, you fucked up. Well, now you're just going to have to spend 30 seconds running back and forth trying to figure out how to get enough momentum for this hill. As you said, no, I can just do the hill. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right? It's not I don't feel frustrated and maybe even a little bored by the fact that I fucked up, which I think is good. I like that that is in there to get you back on your feet, as opposed to like you need to master this in order to be good at this game.
Yeah. It's also so much more noticeable if you have played it and then go back to playing Sonic 1, where I just kept wanting it and kept trying to do it and then having to remember, oh right, they didn't come up with that yet. To the point it almost feels as integral to Sonic as running does to Mario.
Hmm.
Like it just seems it's like a thing he just should always have that at his disposal
Mhm.
to me.
Similar to running in Mario, because I haven't played these games and don't know them. It's, these things which are just like, yes, this is like the fundamental basis of how the game works. I'm like, oh, I would have overlooked that.
Right.
Didn't even occur to
And
me.
you did. I mean, if I hadn't said anything, if we hadn't played this in advance, it seems like you would not have found it.
I might not have. So one thing that I will do with these manuals is I will, like the first time I read it, I'm just like, I probably will not retain all the important information because I probably don't know what all is important. So one thing that I do sometimes is like, if I will play until I get stuck, and if I'm stuck, I'll go back and revisit it. So it is fully possible that I, at some point while stuck, would have gone back and been like, is there anything in here to tell me how to get through this? And then read that and figured it out. But it is also fully possible that I just would have missed it. Could have
Which
happened.
I'm starting to feel like every week I should just play a game with you for 20 minutes just to make sure. That's what I'm starting to think. Because it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous. You make me very nervous. Let's continue the discussion. Another thing I think better in this game, the music. Same composer, Masato Nakamura, who was a member of the J-pop band Dreams Come True, which I'm now like, I gotta listen to this band. I've been humming the tunes from this game all week. I think Sonic 1, the Green Hill theme is great. Has like the main menu theme is great. Has a couple other decent tunes. But for whatever reason, the ones in this game, I felt like even when there weren't zones that I liked as much design wise, I was tapping my toes to those tunes, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I was loving it.
Yeah, it can be hard sometimes to compare these things directly for me, especially after a lot of time seeing them for the first time, because I do remember liking the music in the first Sonic, thinking like the sound design in the music in this is great. The rings are great. The Sega sound effect is great. Like all the blowing up sound effects, great. And the music was really good. I liked all of that. And so coming here, it's like, okay, well, the sound effects are all kind of the same. Music is great. I agree with you. Basically, every level I was in, I was like, I love this. This is really good. I think that the soundtrack here is, as you said, great. Like whatever level is the one I'm currently working on and trying to get through, that's the one that's stuck in my head. I think that's good that I'm never getting past a level and thinking, oh, now I got to listen to the crappy music. I wish I was listening to the good music. I will believe you if you say that this is better than the original, because it is quite good. It's hard to say because I remember being impressed with the original as well.
I don't know if that is a universally held opinion. I've seen at least one of the reviews we'll talk about today where they said they didn't think the music was as good. But I don't know. To me, it's a huge leap. I think pretty much every song in this game is catchy and memorable to me. But I don't know what people think. Another
Maybe I'll
thing
go
about
back
this,
and listen to the scores or something just to check it out.
Yeah, and then listen to some Dreams. I already forgot the name of the band.
Dreams Come True?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Another big difference that wasn't something I even really noticed until I read it. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Was in the first Sonic, every zone has 3 acts. And in this game, other than towards the end, they switch it up a little bit. Every zone only has 2 acts.
Yes, I did notice that.
Which I thought is definitely an improvement because you get to get through it quicker and get to see something new. And I don't know, 3 acts kind of feels like, boy, we're really stretching now to come up with a justification for why we're still here.
Yeah, I noticed that very heavily because,
because you played through those acts a lot of the same
right,
ones.
yeah, I die a lot more than you, and so I have to restart from the beginning of the game to play through them a lot. Yeah, it's interesting because I do think that it felt better for Sonic, but it felt very rushed coming back to them. Like when I come back to these earlier acts, it did kind of feel like, boy, we are just jumping from place to place here, huh? Like we're barely even spending time in this before we're moving on to the next one, which I think is fine. Both because, this is a Sonic game. He should be not spending time in places if he can help it. Um, and also because you still have to start this game over from the beginning when you lose all of your lives and continues. I feel like we're getting pretty late into the game for
you said that
for us
last
to still
time
be
too.
doing that. Yeah,
but I'm telling you it's going to be Sonic 3 as well. This is a Sonic side scrolling. It's just how they are.
Well, I'll talk about that more later. But yes, I think that there only being 2 acts per zone would be maybe not enough. Maybe a little bit too ADHD if this weren't a Sonic game. But I think it works here.
I think it's better. And also, if there's a stage that you don't like as much, you're not forced to spend as much time there. It's like, oh, the fucking water stage. I'm tired of having to breathe. Okay, I did it 2 times. We're out. I can do something that I like now. It feels a little cleaner to me. I mean, I guess like in a perfect world, if every act was fucking awesome, then I would want more of them. But, you know, whatever. It is what it is. How about these special stages? I'll explain for the listeners. Special stages, just like in Sonic 1, you get a certain amount of rings and you'll get the access to these bonus zones. And this is how, if you clear them, you get the Chaos Emeralds. It's a little different in this game. In the first game, you would get them at the end if you got 50 rings throughout the level. I think the number was 50. Here, you get 50 rings and you have to go to a checkpoint. And a little circle of stars will appear and you can go to it. And the special stages are totally different in this game. First game, you were side scrolling and bouncing around these bumpers trying to break through things without falling out the sides. This time, it's a 3D experience where you are racing forward. You have to get a certain number of rings. There's multiple checkpoints. If you don't get enough rings, you lose. And there's bombs that can hit you as well. And every time you see a checkpoint, you can do it. So you have, as long as you have 50 rings, you have that many chances throughout the game to get the 7 emeralds before the end. We can talk about what you actually get if you do that, but how many of I know we played some together. Did you ever do any on your own or no?
I did do a few of them on my own.
Okay.
Yes, and I did get a Chaos Emerald, I think one time, maybe more. I don't
Nice.
remember. But I did get one of the emeralds. I did find that there were times. So I is this when you come out of these special stages, you don't have any rings left.
Correct.
Yes.
It takes your rings from you. Yeah.
There were times where I could have done it and chose not to because I thought it was more important to see if I could get an extra life, or
Mhm.
because I was like, this is right before the boss fight and I need my rings.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there were times where I didn't take advantage of it because of that. I kind of wish it just brought you back to the rings you had already.
I
But
agree.
I guess you were saying to me earlier when we were playing together that you can do multiple per level. And I suppose if that's the case, they would have to reset you, or else, like, you just do all of them,
Which you still can do.
which you still can do, but you have to try harder.
Yes, I think that unless you are specifically you're good enough and you're familiar with them and you're like, I'm doing a Chaos Emerald run because I know I can
Mhm.
do it, then I think there's like no reason to even attempt them because there is no benefit if unless you are good enough to like for sure do them all in one playthrough, you are going to just lose rings and lose lives and die. So I don't think it's worth it for that reason. It's also very if you're playing with Tails, which is the default as a single player, he will just fuck you up. It's just harder because he will hit bombs and stuff, and you'll lose all your rings, and it kind of sucks. Like if you're going for Chaos Emeralds, the best move is to get rid of Tails, which is an option.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like from what I have seen around the internet that a lot of people do not like these stages, and I think it's because they do get pretty tricky the further you go, and to a point you kind of need to memorize where the rings are gonna be in each stage. Otherwise, it's very easy to be, well, I was on the left and they were on the right, then I didn't hit the threshold, so that's
Hmm.
it, I'm done. I think, and that may be true. So maybe they're in that way, like mechanically less well developed or sensible than the first games. But the first games were so weird and chaotic. They felt to me almost like they didn't belong here. And these ones, I feel like they feel more comprehensible and like an intentional part of the design. And I kind of like them more.
Yeah, so I liked when I was first trying them the first couple of times, because I do like, Sonic does have a lot of chaotic things going on, and that can be fun. And I did like enjoy that aspect of it in the first game. But he also does run fast. So the fact that what you are doing here is running fast through this track
Right.
and grabbing rings, it does feel like a Sonic thing. That being said, I did the more that I figured out that I could do them, because I'm not gonna lie, that sparkle above the thing, there's so much fucking shit constantly going on in the background of Sonic games. Seeing an extra sparkle is not something that stands
It's in
out.
the
If I
manual. It tells
it
you. It
it
tells you that it's
is
true.
it is, but if I'm not like specifically looking for it, if I'm not like I know I have 50 rings and I know there's a
Yeah.
thing coming up here, I will
Yeah,
miss
well,
it.
you know it.
Um
That's why you just know it.
Sure. But like anyway, that being said, like once I started doing those, um I did find that so yes, you're running along this track, but the tracks all kind of look the same. Like it's just, you've got these it's a flat color with some stripes on it, doesn't really change much. There's not really much of a background. You're just kind of running. They can last kind of a while and they happen right in the middle of a stage. And so I was kind of finding like I was getting to a point also where in addition to not wanting to lose the rings, I was sometimes thinking like I am in the middle of something right now, right? I am trying to get through this stage where there's enemies and there's flashing colors and there's cool stuff happening and blah blah blah. I don't like I'm doing that, right? Like let me do that and then maybe I'll go do this other thing. And then when I would be in the special stages, I was just like, okay, it's another one of these. They're all, they might have different bomb layouts and ring layouts, but they're all kind of visually similar. It's not There's nothing here that's really making me go like, "Whoa, what's that? Whoa, look at that cool thing. Look at where I am. Look at the way that the levels are." I feel like they were almost lacking some of the like sheer amount of stuff that like the chaos of the Sonic Pinball was doing in the first game, and the fact that they happen midway through the level and not at the end of the level kind of broke up the flow of what I was doing. So that all kind of meant that like the more I was playing it, the more I was like, I don't need to do those. I don't need to do that. Right. I could do that if that's what I
Yeah.
was doing, but I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, you certainly don't need to do it.
Hmm.
But I see what you're saying about the flow being better if they would come at the end of the level. It's also on the flip side, it's nicer that they give you way more opportunities to try them throughout the
Hmm.
game. I do think that in terms of them all kind of looking the same or feeling the same, I think that's sort of just the job of a bonus level. Like it doesn't need to be like that unique to me. I think it's enough. It's a bonus. It's a thing you can do to go for a thing. It's fine. It doesn't need to be the
Sure.
craziest thing.
Sure. I mean, I guess that because I'm playing Sonic, all of my most like let's just go forward, let's just run forward tendencies, I feel like those should be getting paid off, and I feel no need to like
It's a change of
pull
pace,
back from that. Yeah. So, but like I see the
literally.
bonus stages, and I just think like yeah, that feels kind of boring at this point. Like the first couple times I did it, yeah, these are great and fun. I love them. But after that, it's like that's a little bit boring, and I feel like extra bonus content should be stuff that I'm excited to have access to, and not stuff that's like, well, I could also do that, but
Yeah. Well, that's why you're never going to defeat Robotnik and get the Chaos Emeralds with that attitude. Now, if you do complete all of them, if you get 7 Chaos Emeralds, you unlock Super Sonic. And the way Super Sonic works is anytime you get 50 rings, you can turn into Super Sonic and you will stay as him until your rings run out. They basically become like a meter for your super power. And he turns into it really is just a Super Saiyan. He turns into a golden
Mhm.
shining Sonic, and you can like fly around and kill stuff, and you're super good. And you can really, if you have this, especially bosses, you can kind of just super cheese them all with this
So
power.
yes, so I am aware of Supersonic. I know all about him. But so here's when you say you get this, what does that mean? Does that mean like when do you have it?
Every level, if
Just
you get 50
forever
rings, you can activate it for the rest of the game.
for the
For the
rest of
rest
the
of that
game.
run. Yeah, not forever on the game, but during
Right.
that file. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And so if in a level you get 50 rings, you can activate it, is what you're saying? Or you
Correct.
just okay. Okay, I see. So
I
like
think
a
it might happen
permanent.
automatically. I'm not sure, but yes, you'll always have that ability.
Sure. Well, that's pretty cool. I like that.
I was gonna do this. I was like, because I read about how you can, because there's enough checkpoints in Emerald Hill Zone alone to do it. So, and every time you come out, even though you lose your rings, all the rings in the level respawn. So you can just run back and get another 50 and then go get the next checkpoint, right? So I
Mhm.
was like, okay, I'll do a new save file and I'll just focus just on that just to try it out because that'll be fun and cool. And I did like 3 of them and then lost one, and it was just I just was like, no, this is annoying. I don't actually want to do it anymore. Now it is I understand why people get pissed off at this. Even if I were to like use save states and just replay them, I think I would still get pissed off because I'd be doing them a ton of times in a row.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that it is because in the first game, when you got the Chaos Emeralds, nothing really happens. There's like a slightly different ending. So at least they give you something pretty cool for it in this game. And I think something worthy of it feels like a playground rumor. Did you know if you jump into the checkpoint when you have 50 rings, there's 7 levels, and if you get all the emeralds, you turn into Super Sonic? It sounds like
Yeah,
something
that
a
does.
10-year-old made up.
It does not sound real. You are right. It sounds like bullshit. And I do like that. I like that there's things like that in these games that like those playground rumors wouldn't be nearly as good if they weren't sometimes true.
Right. Right. So yeah, I really there's definitely flaws to them, but I guess really I just feel like, well, they make more sense in the first game. However, my other issue with them in the first game, I did manage to find a way to sort of abuse those special stages to get farm a bunch of extra continues. And that was not as easy with these. In fact, they actively take away from your extra lives if you're going for 100 rings. So I was a little worried that I would find it harder to beat this game because I would not have a way to get a bunch of continues. Um, the way that they sort of compensate for that in this one is your score matters a little more in this one, or at
Hmm.
least it's a way that I notice more. And your score at the end, depending on how high it is, you will continuously get extra lives and continues as you play, including your score will go up for the faster you complete the level in,
Hmm.
which maybe is true in the first game too, but I feel like it didn't result in much, at least for me.
Yeah, I
And
don't.
here
Did
I felt
score matter
like
at all in the first game? I don't know that it did.
maybe it gave you also lives. I honestly don't remember. But if it did, maybe the thresholds were just much higher or something like that. But yeah, here it was like, okay, so going fast matters more now. It's not just for bragging rights. It's actually something that will reward me. And I found that I did get a fair number of continues that way that helped me complete the game. So I was
Hmm.
pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I think that like the way that like because I noticed this, I'm not. I knew that score was giving me continues. I'm not like looking at score, right? And trying to like get it to a threshold. That's like paying attention to far too much. But I was, it's like, okay, well, let's try to hit some enemies. Let's try to hit these, whatever, these things that I know will give me score
Mm,
because maybe I'll hit a threshold if I do that enough. And I was finding that generally speaking, you will get more than enough continues to go on as long as you don't hit a wall. Like, if you hit one section where you're just stuck, right, and you're just going to die there over and over, then you'll burn through your continues without getting enough score. But if you're just dying occasionally at certain spots, it does kind of feel like you just never run out of continues. You just get them because you kept playing, you got far enough to have done it
yeah.
enough times.
Yeah, I like the I wasn't paying so much attention to score. I also couldn't remember what those thresholds were, but I would generally try to go for 100 rings to get an extra life, especially in the earlier levels where I felt that was a little bit easier to do or I was more familiar with them so I could do it more consistently. And generally speaking, if you finish a level with like at least 70 plus rings, you'll probably get a continue that level or something, which is pretty fair. I will tell you my total playtime. My first full run. The first time I played, I died like in zone 3. Then I did a second run where I got pretty much all the way to the end of the game, like really right before the final boss. But there are, in my opinion, a few sections of the game that really, especially at the end, there's a few bosses and level things that were just like, if you aren't familiar with this, if you haven't played it in a while, or if it's your first time playing it could seem really hard. And there's a few bosses where I would just lose like 5 lives, but then I figured out, oh, I can just do this thing. And now when I play it again, it's quite easy. That type of thing. So I feel like altogether, it was maybe like around 2 hours for me to do a full run. And I think if I were to sit down and play it again right now, and I was careful, I could probably beat it in like 90 minutes, maybe. And that's also part of why I feel like I'm not as annoyed by the no save thing in this game, because it's not very long if for a average gamer. Now I'm curious to hear your perspective. You can reveal it now if you'd like, of what your total progress was in this game.
Yeah, so my total progress is probably a lot better than you were expecting, given that.
Based on your first showing.
Yes. So my first showing really is my problem with the fact that you have to start over from the beginning every time, which is that um when you do this, I feel like you you can run into some problems if you aren't very, very careful about balancing your game, and I don't know if it's possible to even do it, right? Because you end up in this position where um if there is a section that you accidentally make harder, right? Like if you say like, okay, I want it to be level two's a little harder than level one, and then level three's a little harder than that, and then level a little harder, like I want it to progress or something like that. If I accidentally put one trick in the middle of zone two that should be like a zone eight difficulty trick, then what's going to happen is, unless you're pretty good at the game, not only are you going to get stuck there, but on every subsequent run, I know I've got to get through that trick. I'll probably burn a lot of my lives there. And I probably won't even be excited to do it, because I'll say like, I really want to see all this cool new stuff, but I don't want to die 5 times at this section because I can't consistently do it.
Why don't you
Uh,
be specific and just talk about what you're talking about?
well, this is a general thing because it happened on more than one
Yeah.
occasion. I think it only
Oh,
happened on 2
okay.
occasions, but um, so what happens is you can cause problems if you don't tweak that perfectly. But
The
then
you're talking about is the game developers
yes,
right now.
yeah. If you're trying to like balance out your games and you don't because if I say as a player, well, now I've beaten zone 2, right? Cool. If that zone if there's a save system, I never have to do it again. And that's really good if there happened to be something kind of out of place there like that. And the real problem is that that's not going to be consistent, right? Like for me, I'm probably just going to be worse at everything, but I can imagine a hypothetical scenario with a game where one player might say, I found this section really hard and this other section easy. And another player says, "Oh, actually I found that first section really easy and the second section really hard." So getting it so that nobody will ever have one of these problems, to me feels like it's difficult for balance. And
Well,
that's really my problem.
first I want to say, so
Mhm.
okay, so the section that at least one of the sections you're referring to is in
Mhm.
chemical plant zone.
Yeah.
You have to jump on these platforms, and if you miss, you fall underwater, and then you have to do this climb back up, and
Yeah.
it's this very clunky
Right.
climb underwater, and you're running out of air, and you kind of have to, you don't have to be frame perfect on it, but you have to be pretty good or you're gonna drown. um and to me, this is like the biggest roadblock in the game.
Mhm.
I think I got pissed off at it the first several times. I think in my first run, that's where I spent a lot of my lives trying to get through that thing. I found it very annoying. It sucks having to be in the water. There's also like a psychological toll too, because not only do
Yeah,
you fall, you don't just die. You have to like climb
yeah.
back up these
I
stupid blocks.
I told you the reason that I actually quit was because I lost the level on time. 10 minutes you have to
Right.
complete a level. I lost the level on time despite the fact that it only takes you like 40 seconds to get that to that section if you know how to do the rest of it. Right? Like that's it's not even that it kills you. And so it's one of those things where it's like even if you're good enough to do it without dying, like I could be at a section where I'm good enough to get through it without ever dying to the water, but not on my first attempt. And so I just know that I have 3 minutes of this to go through before I even, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Now, where I think you may be slightly misaligned with the game designers, and I don't know this for sure. This is sort of speculation based on other things that I know are true in other games and things. Um, I don't my hunch is that this is not an accident. This is not an
Mm,
oops, we accidentally made this part of the game too hard.
yeah,
I think this is a classic. You hit level 1 is a lot of fun. Here's level 2. Well, if you rent this game, we can't have you beating the game in a weekend. So we put a really hard part in level 2 on
yeah.
purpose. And
Which
that's
I
what it's
think,
for.
listen, I understand that, but that to me
I'm not
feels
saying it's good.
yeah, yeah. That to me feels like saying I could make a good work of art, but I need something that sells. So let's go out of my way to make it worse because I want to make more money. Is what that's what I hear when I hear this. I hear like let's
Yeah.
make the experience worse in exchange for more rentals.
That's
I'm
that I
not
don't think that's what
sold.
you're hearing. I think that's what I'm saying. I think that's I don't think there's any other way to interpret it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's
um Now I think there are worse examples of this.
Mhm.
I will say, like, we've talked about this before probably, but the classic one is there's a Lion King game on Super Nintendo, which maybe we'll
Mhm.
play someday.
Mhm.
And the second level is like just fucking unfair.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking the whole level. And it's like, well, this is hard, but at least it does let you get back up. You can learn to do it. Like if you're decent at platforming, there's
Yeah.
worse things out there. I don't love it, but I got past it. Now, after we did our playthrough, I did find and send you there is a shortcut
Yeah.
you can take that's pretty hidden, but you can skip this part. Did you end up using that shortcut or did
So
you find your way through?
because like I knew that I would never have found this shortcut on my own. The first thing I did was I was like, I am going to get as far as I can actually doing this. I'm going to figure out how to do it. I'm going to be able to get through it relatively consistently without dying, even if that means, like I said, that's the annoying thing is that you fall and then it takes so long to get back and you don't even die. Or like anyway, I'll talk about that more later because I want to come back to that not even dying thing in a bit. Um, but I wanted to be able to say like I could consistently get through this. Uh, and then after I was able to do that on subsequent attempts, I did just use the shortcut because, yeah, as you said, there's a psychological effect to knowing that you're just going to have to spend 3 minutes doing this one jump over and over every time you want to try anything, which I think isn't good. But so, okay, let me tell you how demoralizing this is. You do this. Um, First of all, immediately after that, the Robotnik fight that you have, it's very easy to just accidentally fall off the edge because uh like he's shooting things at you and you bounce off of them sometimes and half the platform appears and disappears so it looks like it's safe and then it's not. So I don't think I ever got to a point where I could consistently do that without at least one accidental, oh shoot, there's not a ground there anymore, death. So that
I
was
thought you
very
just stay in the
annoying.
middle. That's my strat.
Yeah,
Don't go to the end.
but then you get knocked to the you get knocked to the side or something, and sometimes that's fine. I
Yeah.
don't know, whatever.
If you're quick enough and aggressive enough, you can take him
Yeah,
out before it
no,
happens.
I'm sure it
But
is, but it's
yeah,
annoying. It's very annoying. Um,
sure.
so then you get to the next zone. First act, not too bad. The first thing that happens on Act 2 here is there's a big swinging platform. So the gimmick of this next area, you're in the aquatic zone, right? And the
And
gimmick
this is
of
your
this,
first time. In the first game, you didn't get to do an underwater level.
yeah. Well, okay. Um, well, it wasn't even my first time underwater. I mean, it's
That's true. There is some, but
in
I
well,
don't think in the
it's
last one
actually
though. Are there air bubbles in the chemical zone though? I feel like it's just you're underwater and you just got to get out. Like this one, they expect you to be in it for longer.
now that's interesting you say that. Well, first of all, I was going to say in the chemical plant zone, it's called Mega Mac, not water, by the way. That
What
is
the
the
fuck?
that is the Mega Mac. It is, to quote the manual here, a toxic liquid called Mega Mac.
MACK?
MACK.
All right, cool.
That's what it is in the chemical plant. Um,
Okay,
so this first jump you miss, if you miss it. Well, basically, so the gimmick of this, as far as I can tell, is that if you make all of the jumps and do everything perfect, you can stay on the top level of the aquatic
true,
zone and never fall into the water.
true. Yeah,
There is a sort of middle section where you will sort of fall into the water, but then you can get back out and then maybe fall in. And then there appears to be a whole bottom zone that you can run through where there's no way to get back to the surface. I could not find a way to get back to the surface.
there
Um,
are. I mean, eventually you'll get back to the surface. Maybe not
pres-
like from the spot you're in, but if you keep moving forward.
Presumably, yeah. So if you miss the very first jump or two along these swinging platforms, you are down at the bottom, right? And now you said there's bubbles you can use for air. I don't know if there are. They are not obvious. I could not see them. I never found them. So what I found in this level was if you miss the first jump, there are no platforms that will get you up to the top, and if you run as fast as you can, as long as you can, you will die before there's any way out. And I spent a lot of time just jumping around trying to figure out what I could do, but I discovered that very quickly after getting locked out by here's a jump, and if you fail it, you have to spend forever underwater. I found another thing that was here's a jump, and if you fail it, you have to spend forever underwater, only this time you're guaranteed dead. But you're not, you just have to wait. You might as well just wait to die.
Were you aware that? I mean, I'm sure I mentioned
I
it in our first
I
episode. That there are
remembered in
air
the first
bubbles,
episode that you said there were air bubbles, but I didn't I didn't know
but
what they were supposed to look like. I didn't know what anything was. There's nothing in here that is obvious to me what it does.
you couldn't. I really like. You didn't think to. You didn't like look up a picture just to see like, oh, that's an air bubble
No,
or like a
I
section of the
ran
level.
around trying to figure out what to do until I died, and then next time I tried to make the jump so I wouldn't have to deal with that.
I really want to know if you just can't see them, if they're invisible to you.
I mean, I'm sure they are. I mean, this is a thing that I'm bringing up again and again with Sonic is that when you have something that is subtler, like the little stars that come up across the that you jump into to go into the
Yeah,
special
yeah.
stages, the backgrounds in Sonic have a lot of detail and they are constantly flashing and there's shit all over the place. If you were to say there is a moving flashing thing that looks like a thing, 90% of them are not a thing you can interact with. Like in Sonic, if it is not blatantly, flashingly obvious that it's a thing I can look at, I probably will not know it's a thing I can look at. Because I guarantee you most of the bubbles in that underwater stage are not actually air bubbles, they're just background details. Right. So like it can be very difficult for me to parse out what is a thing I'm supposed to be looking at and what is not.
But do you attribute any of this to your personal vision problems or no?
Some of it probably doesn't help. It probably doesn't help. That's true.
Yeah.
But I do also think that there is some level of most of the stuff that's moving and flashing is not a thing. Because that's the other thing about these games and platformers is that like I am trying to use selective attention on them. Like, I can't pay attention to everything on screen at once or I won't be able to control my character, right? So I need to go in here and sort of make a decision. That's a thing I'm going to be looking at. That's not a thing that I can afford any attention right now, because otherwise I will lose control of, like, I won't be able to do anything. So if something doesn't look clearly enough like a thing that I'm supposed to interact with, it's going to be very hard for me to notice it. Because I need to know what it looks like, or it needs to be obvious.
I just love that you always manage to find a new way to disappoint me. That I'm like, oh, you got to play a water level. So of course you found the way to not be able to interact with it at all.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
I could
always
not do the
another
water level.
catch that I can't predict.
Well, here's the thing. Eventually,
Yeah.
the nice thing about this is that if you make the first stupid jump to the platform, which did take me
Yeah.
multiple attempts, like I had several game overs before I could do it. Um, you never have to deal with that again. Like, you'll fall underwater, but not so far that you can't just jump back out and it's fine for the rest of the level. So, but yes, what did happen playing this game is that I got hit with a roadblock and then immediately hit with another roadblock. And all of these were based around, like, the only platforming you really have to do. For most of the game, there's not that much in the way of jumps. But here there were, like, just a few tiny sections where you had to make a precise jump. And if you didn't, the game really fucking punished you for it. And I thought that that was really awful.
To
Especially
be
because
fair,
one of
yeah,
the
go
things
ahead.
that I really liked about Sonic 1, right, was that uh you didn't have to make jumps, right? Like, it was relatively common that it's like, okay, well, there's lava here, and I'm going into it with some rings and an invincibility thing. So I try to make the easy jump. I fail because I suck. So I lose my invincibility. But I'm not dead, so I try to make the jump again. I fail, and I fail because I suck. I don't even get out of the lava, so I lose all of my rings. Well, I got some temporary, like, I'm flashing. I've got my temporary invulnerability, so I try to make the jump again. I suck, so I miss it. But by this point, I've picked up a ring, so I get to try to make the jump again. I suck, so I miss it, and I lose the ring. So now I have no more rings, but I have temporary invincibility again. I try to make
Fucking
the jump
Isildur over here.
and I miss it, but I still have that. You can jump off of a cliff and fail 7 times to get out of that cliff and still make it in the original Sonic. And, like, it is so, like, not punishing at all toward being bad at platforming. And what I discovered in this game is, once you get past those first 2 sections, there are more platforming sections, and they're all like I remember, right? There's so many backups to be like, it's fine, you missed the jump and there's spikes or lava. Don't worry about it. It's just spikes or lava. It's not a pit. It's not like water that will get you stuck. It's not like whatever. It's fine if you miss the jump. Just try it again. Just try it again. Make sure you have rings. Try it again. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And I really liked that. But again, since I have to start from the beginning every time, and the really beginner unfriendly platforming obnoxious shit is right at the beginning, and the stuff that is nice to me is in the middle or toward the end, that pisses me off. I don't like that.
I can tell. That's how you learn. It forces you to get good, then you get to enjoy it.
I mean, it would be easy enough to just, like, it's not like I don't care about falling into the lava just because I can fix it. Like, I'm still trying not to do that. It's just annoying.
I just think I agree with you for that first section we discussed, that is definitely what I would call a roadblock. The falling in the water, that's just you just missing a mechanic. Like, that's not the game's fault.
All right,
There are bubbles down there to
was
get.
that
Like, it's
mechanic in
designed.
the
In the first game, yes, if
well,
you got to a
no,
water level.
I didn't play
What?
that in the first game.
Yes. Well, what's your question? Was it there? Yes, is
I
the answer.
guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess there are air bubbles, but I have no idea what they're supposed to look like. I have no idea. I
Right,
don't
but
know.
I'm just
I don't
saying
think the game
that's
was
a
accessible.
you thing. That is a
Fine.
you. Most people
Okay.
see those. Like, I don't think it's
the one-
fair to criticize the game. For
I think it
that.
is. I didn't have a good time playing it because they did that.
Sure. But I just think I think the first one is a fundamental skill level where it's like, even if you know what to do, it is still difficult to pull off. The second one is literally like they gave you the tools, you just didn't understand how to use them.
Yeah, that's
Which
true.
that can still be a criticism. I'm just saying it's a different thing. It's not, I just don't think that's the game's total fault.
I had a bad time playing it because, like, listen, it doesn't change what I'm saying here, which is that if you are bad at platforming, you have to deal with all of that water bullshit, and it was hard. Like, it
right.
is,
but
like,
it's not. But you're treating it like it's an instant death. Like there's no way to escape it, which isn't true.
But it was for me.
For you, yes.
Yeah, yes, and this is my criticism. Okay, fine. If you're great at the game and you never miss a jump, then it doesn't matter what the punishment for the jump is.
That's not the part that I'm talking about. You don't have to be great at the game to see an air bubble.
This is about accessibility for a player who's not very good. I fell in there and it was an instant death, so that's what it is.
But
right?
No, it's only an instant death because you didn't know what the air bubbles were.
Yeah, that's true. What's your point?
I don't see how you're not seeing the distinction there.
Because here's the thing. When I have, like, invulnerability, like, the lava could also be an instant death if I didn't understand how the rings or invulnerability worked. But guess what? I do, because that's accessible and easy. Yeah. There is no obvious thing in here that's like, here's an air bubble. Here's what it looks like. This is what you're trying to do. How am I going to, like, I just died. That's just how it is.
If you met someone who said, I never picked up a ring because I didn't know that they were your life, would you say
you literally
right?
cannot do that? It is damn near. I think you would have to be absurdly good at Sonic to never pick up a ring.
I think some people would say it's very hard to not see an air bubble on your path. That's all I'm saying.
But then also, like, see a thing and then I would know that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't. It wasn't obvious.
In the manual, it tells you that there are air bubbles. That is in the manual.
If I got completely stuck, I would go back and search over, and I would be all like, "Okay, are there air bubbles?" But also, I could just not go down there.
Sure, which to me means that's even better. Then your complaint has even less merit because if you really don't get it, they gave you an out. So that's nice.
I mean, also, I shouldn't have to look at that. If the level is designed such that you are supposed to go down in there, then it should make it very obvious. I shouldn't have, like, there are things in the manual also that say, hey, did you know you can, like, hold down a thing to make the pinball work? That's intuitive. I would have figured that out on my own. I don't need that. You know, listen, this is not accessible to me. It is actively going out of its way to punish me for playing it in a way that would have been much more acceptable had these been later levels, right? If they had put the platforming that it's okay that you fuck up because it's just lava or just spikes at the beginning, I wouldn't really have this complaint, because I'd be like, yeah, I was really struggling with some of the later levels because they were hard to figure out. I'd be like, yeah, of course, but they're the later levels. Being like, I had to hit my head against a wall before I could even see any of the new stuff, right? And I have to fucking replay Emerald Hill Zone every single time I want to do this. You know, it's annoying to have to figure that out before I even get to see anything. I wouldn't have been able to play any of this fucking game if I hadn't been able to make that jump.
Yeah. I mean, in the first game, didn't you only get to, like, the third zone also?
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be that different.
Yeah, that's because it was just harder.
And in
I do
every
think
Mario
this game was easier.
And some other ones. Listen,
but also recall that there are 3 levels per whatever. Right, so I would have gotten, farther.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also do not love underwater levels in Sonic. I complained about them in the first episode. I think they can be stressful. They can be annoying. The physics are weird. And sometimes you can't find the air bubbles, or you're, like, right about to get one and then you run out of air right before one finally comes up and you're like, fuck. They can definitely be annoying. I maybe it is hard for me to judge these things because I've played Sonic, and most people who are listening to this have played Sonic, and probably many of them were playing since they were kids. But I don't know. I just feel like I think they are more intuitive than you are letting off. I think that probably most kids played the Sonic games and were able to figure out, oh, that's an air bubble. I did it. I'm not saying it's like not valid to miss it and be frustrated. I just don't think it's like, I don't. I feel like you're treating it like this is a universal, like this is just bad design. When I
I
think
don't know what you're
most
trying to
players
argue
find it.
here to me. I'm saying that my assessment of this game is that it was bad and locked me out because I couldn't
All
find
right.
this. And you're over
Okay.
here like, yeah, like, okay, fine, whatever. Most players are better at games than me. Fine, whatever. I don't care. I'm not judging it on those merits.
I
I'm
just
not,
think this is
like, if
more.
I were judging this based on how easy it was for you, then I would not pick up a controller. I would watch
My
your video footage and I would say how
okay.
fun it
All right.
looked.
Okay. First of all, calm down. Second of all, I'm just trying to stress, to me there's a difference between I don't to me this is not a skill issue in the same way.
Of
It's
course
not
it's not,
about
because you didn't
platforming
have this
skills.
problem.
But to me I think it is more like visual. Like it's just it's just like
But
something. If I had just said to you, "Hey, that's," if I had been able to be at your next to you while you played and pointed and said, "That's an air bubble. Here's how you get it," I think you're okay in this section. I
that
think
doesn't but
that's
that doesn't
different.
but that doesn't change the argument at all. Because the
All right.
basic
To
argument
me, it
here is,
does. To you, it
well,
doesn't.
no, because the
That's where
basic
we are.
argument here is that, like, there
Okay.
are things that shut you down right at the beginning of the game that make it hard to progress. This is like saying, well, the fact that at the beginning of Metroid there's just a wall there and you don't know how to progress, that's not a problem, because if you just know it's not a wall, then it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, yeah, sure, that's true, but it's still bad.
Okay. I think it just comes down to a difference of, it's just subjective whether or not you think this particular thing is
Well, it's not subjective because I'm
challenging.
talking about my experience. I had an objective experience, right? Like,
Okay.
I'm
All
not
right.
talking about
Can you
you. I'm talking about me. This is
I'm
about
trying.
me.
Do you, the listeners hear me trying to be like, well, agree to disagree and just like move on, and you always go
No,
like, well,
they
we don't agree, so fuck you.
yeah. So then no, because every
I'm
time you say
trying to
agree to
find a
disagree,
compromise.
yeah, that's the problem. You're not saying agree to disagree. You're saying let's compromise, and I'm saying no.
Okay, I
Just
guess what
agree.
I'm
If you
saying
agree
is,
to disagree, we'll move on. But you're not
here's
doing
what I'm
that.
saying, and I've said it multiple times in different
Hmm.
ways, but perhaps not direct enough,
Hmm.
is that we don't agree.
Fine.
And therefore there just apparently is a difference in how we view it, and so it's, I guess,
Yeah.
pointless for us to continue arguing
Okay.
it, because
That's
we
fine.
just see it differently.
That's fine. Just don't invoke, well, most people agree with me, and then I won't argue about that. You just can't
to
help
me
yourself, though, is the
to
problem.
me this is more like the mist thing, where it's I think it's like not, it's just more of a, I don't know, I just don't like, okay, forget it. Forget it.
It's still
It
bad
doesn't matter.
design.
It doesn't matter. That's your opinion. It's not mine. We are different. Christ. Well,
Anyway,
you want to give
I
your final
believe where I
thought?
was trying to go with all of this before you decided to make a gigantic thing about it is how far I got here.
Okay.
Um, so
The listeners
after
know.
the first two sections where I was getting shut down, like, uh, all over the place, I move on to the later levels, and I am finding that these are, as you said, I do think that they're relatively easier. You can generally speed through them, and I did find them, like, pretty enjoyable. Um, I do think that this game is probably very beatable for me. The place that I got to was, on my farthest run, I died on the boss fight for Oil Ocean Zone. So right before Metropolis Zone that you talked about earlier, with some of the, like, feel bads and all of that.
Wow.
Um, and I do think that that boss fight is, not too bad. I just, I do stupid stuff the first time I play these because I want to see what I can get away with. And as you said, I think going back and hitting it, I could make more progress. And then doing it again, I could make more progress. So I do think that, I could run all the way through this game with enough additional attempts. Probably, given that it would probably be like an hour per run through, and I would probably need to do 4 or 5 minimum. I do think I'm still a decent ways away from beating it, but, yeah, I thought it was good once I got past those initial bits.
I'm glad. I'm really glad. You did get very far in this game. I will tell you, you got very close to the end, especially compared to most other games we ever play.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, that section with the Mega Mac in level 2, there was a point at which I had spent more time on that one single jump than the entire rest of the game put together.
Sure,
Which is
sure.
one of those things that makes it like I'd never had that problem again in any of the other levels. The other levels, it's like you try it a couple times and then you get it and then you I think that's another thing that I was finding in this. I don't remember what I said about the original Sonic, but this was the thing that I was liking about the original Mega Man is I do like when I'm in a situation where once I've done it once or twice, I can consistently do it again. And I was finding that, like, I wasn't really hitting too many massive walls past the first 3 zones. I might get stuck on a boss fight, but generally speaking, playing the level to get there wasn't too bad, and generally speaking, once I beat the boss fight once, it wasn't too hard to repeat. I think the exception being the casino, boss fight because, um,
That was a
controlling
roadblock for me.
yeah, I was gonna like that one there was like, I know how to do it even in the first time I tried it. But like it's so hard to control Sonic that sometimes you just don't.
Yeah. Well, I found that for that, the best method was not to try to like actually jump on the bumpers. You just like wait and you just spin to one side and hit him and then roll back, and you
Mm.
can much more safely hit him and you never lose control.
My
Uh,
strategy for that was to try to get up top and just get a nice like up and down bounce on the like super high bumpers and then drop down and try to get 2 or 3 hits in a row on him before you go all the way down. The like
that's that. Yeah. If I tried that, I would just get hit
mm.
inevitably.
Yeah, I think that was but with me, I was like, try to like, if I tried to do the thing you were talking about, I would inevitably make a mistake and go wildly flying everywhere. So, my goal was, like, get to the section that makes you fly like crazy and then get that under control before you do anything so that you at least kind of do something.
I do think you probably would have to double or triple your estimated game attempts solely for the final level and final bosses.
Fair enough,
Uh,
I believe it.
the 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 final two bosses, there's two of them in a row, and you start with no rings. There are no rings. You can't
Mhm,
get hit a single time. So you pretty much have to. It takes several attempts, at least for me, to really learn. You have to learn the pattern. You have to know what you can get away with, and you just got to commit a bunch of lives to do it.
mhm,
They can be tricky. But if you know how to do it, like now that I know how to do it, I'm like, oh, I could do that every time now.
mhm.
But the first several can be very difficult. Okay, shut the fuck up. Give us your final fucking thoughts and your IGN rating before I fucking leave the podcast because you're pissing me off today.
Listen, you brought it all on yourself.
Shut up. Fucking talk. I'm getting some water. I don't even want to listen to you.
All right. So Sonic 2. Um yeah, while it has a lot that is very similar to the first Sonic, I do think that generally speaking the levels are a lot more fun to play. The fact that you're constantly going fast is great. Um the fact that you have the spin dash so that you don't have as many feel bads is great. Um it makes a huge difference to have Tails there. Like it really does. Having your buddy Tails. Uh, on the whole, like I think that in some ways the original Sonic was maybe a little bit more. It felt more beginner friendly. I wasn't getting like immediately hard walled right at the beginning to a point where I was just feeling like frustrated and like it was a project before I could even get to the fun parts. But the fun parts of this I think were a lot more fun once I started getting there consistently. Um, so that being said, I do think that this Sonic is better than the first Sonic. It's a significantly improved experience in general. Um, However, it's hard to say because I don't want to give it too much credit for things that it's just lifting directly from the first Sonic, right? Because it didn't really do those things. But maintaining that speed throughout, understanding that that's really what the game should be, giving you an additional character, all of these things are huge. Um, I think that I am going to give Sonic 2. Let's see. I think I'm going to give it a 7.9 out of 10.
Wow. A stupid score from a stupid person. Didn't you not make it to like zone 3 in the original game?
No, I'm sure I made it to zone 3, but also remember
I
with
know, 3
yeah,
acts. 3, but you still definitely got farther in this game than that one.
I did. I did.
It's just confusing to me why you're saying like you felt like that one was more
Be-
beginner friendly when I feel like you spent
because
most of your time in the early stages of it.
because it felt like I had again, zone 3, like by this point, by the time you get through your first two zones, you've effectively gone through 3, so you're on like 4 before the diff of 4 or 5. That's not that much like different from where I was here, and it felt like it was getting harder. What makes this not beginner friendly isn't that I didn't get as far. It's not that it was harder on the whole. It was easier. What makes it not beginner friendly is that, again, I had a point while playing this game where the majority, like, I had played for over an hour and a half, maybe even, and the majority of the time on this game that I had spent was one jump. What makes it not beginner friendly is that the nasty part that shuts you down the worst is before you get to the fun part rather than after you've already rather than the more fun things you do the harder it gets. That's what makes it not beginner friendly.
Fair enough. Well, I think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is definitely a big improvement over the first game. I like it a lot more. I also liked the first Sonic pretty well, but I think this one pretty much addresses every single issue that I had with that game. The levels are bigger, Sonic is faster. I still feel like I spend a lot of the game not necessarily going slowly, but I still, if depending on how I'm playing, especially if I'm have a lot of rings and I want to keep them, and I'm playing to win, I still feel like I'm a little bit at odds with the going fast versus being careful techniques. But I don't think that I don't feel it as egregiously as I did in the first game. I do think the levels are just better designed. The aesthetics and the music are a lot better. I have more fun with this one. The spin dash is clutch. I think that's a huge improvement over the first game. There's a couple little parts that I think can be pretty annoying, but I can overlook them. It's just sometimes that's just how games of this era were. So I have fun with this one. I think it's a strong showing for the Blue Man, as I call him. I honestly, I feel like I want to go even higher than I want to go. But I'm gonna settle on giving this one an 8.3.
I think that's pretty reasonable. I do also think that this only being like my first week of playing it could also hurt the score because I think that there is as long as I'm not hitting more walls later, the more I play the game, the smaller the percentage is of it just being like I haven't played the game and I'm frustrated. I do think the score was going up the more I played it. And it's fully possible that if I played, 7 more hours of this game, more and more of that time would feel good. I think a low 8 or even a mid 8 could easily be a reasonable score.
Yeah, I almost like that's almost where I kind of feel is maybe this is like a mid to a high 8 even for me. But I'll leave it here for now. I mean, it's still there are still enough aspects of the design that I'm not totally in love with. And I'm not sure. I'm not as familiar with Sonic 3. So I don't know. I think some people consider Sonic 2 to be the best. Some people like Sonic 3 the best. And I'm not sure where I land, but I guess I'm leaving room to grow in case I think Sonic 3 bests this one again. We also did not talk actually on this episode about the multiplayer experience at all. But that is something I mean, it adds to it. It is something else you can do. I don't think the campaign
Mhm.
with Tails really matters because it's very difficult to really do much as Tails, but it's something. And the competitive mode, even though it's all very squashed, you're doing these races and it's split screen and it looks a little bad on with the old technology. I think they are actually it's a decently fun mode. It's not like a reason to get this game,
Mhm.
but it does give it something else that the first one doesn't have.
Yeah, we kinda didn't do that because you decided to get into an argument and then got mad and moved on. But
Okay. Who's
that being
moving
said,
on now? Who's moved on, right? It's
but
amazing how you
but
accuse me of these things and you're the only one doing it.
but yeah, like that I
Unfucking
don't know that I
believable.
had that much to say about the multiplayer, honestly, because I feel like it was going to come back to an earlier thing that we've talked about before, which is just like multiplayer in player ability discrepancy. I do think there is potentially something fun about the multiplayer here because like there's this weird scoring system, right? It's not just who gets there faster, it's like who got there faster, who got the highest score, who got the most rings total, who ended with the most whatever, and you're trying to get like best 3 out of 5. So there's potentially something interesting there, but if we're starting with one guy who played through a bunch of the game and one guy who hasn't been able to get past level 2 yet, then you just end up in a position where you're like, "Oh yeah, I just go do the level again." And I'm like, "Let me try to figure out how to do this level, except the screen is squashed and looks weird and it's harder to tell what anything is." And it's not, you know. But I do think there's potential for interest there. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
didn't get to experience it.
Right. You're bad at it, is what you're saying.
Sure, 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 sure. But like that is a thing about multiplayer in games. Like when you're assessing them, you have to ask that question. Like there are some forms of multiplayer where it doesn't matter if there's a massive skill discrepancy, and there are some forms where like it does, and those will be more difficult for us to assess. As you said with the Tails thing, that could have been a situation where like you get to play Tails if you're not as good. But it sounded from you like you basically don't get to do anything with Tails. That sounds like a skill discrepancy where it's like actually for like your 5-year-old kid brother who really can't do anything.
It doesn't really matter. Like the game,
Mm-hmm.
the game truly just doesn't make sense as a two-player game because
Mm-hmm.
you move so fast and unless they like locked the screen to where it doesn't move unless both of you move, which would be terrible. You're just Tails is just going to get knocked off screen immediately, or if the person who's controlling Sonic isn't going fast, if they're just playing and like treating it like a Mario game and just jumping, and then I guess it would make maybe a little more sense. But otherwise, it's like you're a boss assist, and during the levels, you might as well not exist. It doesn't matter. People can watch us play through the game again. The Worst with Games channel early if you're a patron. That's what we think about the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 game, but why don't we take a look at what people said about this one back in the early 90s as we turn once again to Retro Review Corner, beginning as we often do with a classic Electronic Gaming Monthly. The review crew here, as we know with EGM, they give it 4 different scores from 4 different reviewers. This one pretty astonishing. It got 2 8s, a 9, and something I thought maybe was spoken only in legend for EGM, which is a perfect 10. Because in the past we keep seeing 9s and them being like, "Well, I wish it was a 10, but we can't do that now, can we?" This guy said Sonic 2 is a fucking 10, and that's all there is to it. Let's see what some of these have to say. There's definitely a lot to explore, but the game is manic in its approach. None of the levels are too linear, which is both good and bad. Great, basically saying nothing at all. They only have one paragraph to write
Yeah,
these reviews, so they
I
have to
was
do
gonna
their
say,
best.
are they, it sounds like you're cutting off that quote early to make them sound bad, and maybe if you went to the next sentence, they would say like, "Here's the good parts and here's the bad parts." But
No,
if it's only one paragraph, then hmm.
yeah. Another reviewer has a similar line of thought. They say the gameplay is top notch, but there's not enough freedom to explore the huge levels. Not linear, but still too straightforward. I don't really know what the fuck they're talking
Yeah, wait,
about.
did I miss part of this? I mean, hold on.
I guess they wish there
It's
were like multiple exits, maybe. They don't like that you still
mm,
have to go left to right. They want it to be like you could find the exit up here, or you could take a totally different path and go to like this level first instead of that level or something. But in 1992, that feels like a crazy thing to be asking for, so I don't really know.
yeah, like I don't. It's too linear because it's very much less linear than most other games that you would have been playing as like a 2D
Certainly
side
2D
scroller.
platformers. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like do they just not want this genre? Like what are they comparing it to where they're
I
like I
guess
don't
if
know.
you look at Mario World, where you could actually find
Mm.
different exits and they would lead to different levels on the map,
I
maybe that's what
Yeah,
they're.
I guess that's true. Mario We are in the era of like Mario World or even Mario 3 where you
Yes.
don't have to do all the levels in the same order. You can skip them. You can
Right.
Yeah, maybe that would make sense. I could see that.
That's probably part of what they mean.
Mhm.
Well, this guy who gave it a 10 says twice as long as the game as the first game, offers more enjoyment. As a two-player game, there's twice the fun. The levels are larger and harder, and Sonic's new moves are quite innovative. Overall, the best all-round game on the market. I don't think it is twice as long as the first game, nor do I think it's harder. But, whatever floats this guy's boat. Here's a review from CVG, Computer Video Games Magazine. And they got like an early Japanese version of the game, it sounds like. So there's some things they don't know. For instance, they refer to Tails by the name Two Tails, which is not his
Like
name.
2 Chains
A lot like that. A lot
cuz he's
like
two
that. Yeah.
tails.
Yeah. At first glance, Sonic may not look radically different to the original, but it packs a ton more punch than Bluey's first outing. They predicted Bluey.
Yeah, I was going to
The
say, hold on.
the le-
Well, no,
Mhm.
you know what? No, no, keep going.
Are you talking about Bluey's fucking Sonic or something? What were you gonna
No, it's
say?
just Tails kind of, I
Because
don't know.
she's a child.
Yeah,
Tails is a child
he would
also.
fit in Bluey, right? Like Sonic's too cool for Bluey, but like Tails, I don't.
Fit in, like, again, talking about fucking.
Okay, don't be disgusting.
I'm not.
He's
I'm saying I do not bring that up. They are children.
4 or 8 or
That's what I'm
whatever.
saying.
Yeah,
That is what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
It's disgusting what you're saying. The levels are absolutely massive, like Tails' cock. With so much to do and so much to find that you'll bust a gut trying. I wasn't really a fan of
Eh,
Sonic's first effort, but Sega have worked wonders with this, and there's certainly enough here to keep everyone happy.
Isn't bust a gut usually referred to like laughing?
They're
It's not.
British. I don't
Oh,
know.
okay. You think
I don't
Tails
know
has
what it
two
means.
cocks too?
Hmm. This person reviewing says they don't think the tunes are as memorable as the first game. So there's a difference of opinion there. The only thing that lets Sonic 2 down slightly, they say, is the difficulty. Initially, it's not that much harder than the first game, but things do improve on later stages. It's better than the first game, not enough to induce an adrenaline overload, but more than enough to keep everyone happy. And some of that's echoed here. I have a third review from Games Master, which this is the Mega Drive version of the game. And they say, that there's not that much different aside from one or two tweaks to the control system and a few different ideas for the mobile platforms. The guts of the game are suspiciously familiar. The game is bigger, but the depressing fact is that it's still just too easy. Something is seriously wrong with Sega's game testing, when with all the similar criticisms that were leveled at the original Sonic, they still haven't taken note and radically revised the difficulty level. Okay, so a game should be fun, not a chore to finish as soon as possible. But there also has to be a degree of challenge to raise it above the level of a yo-yo in the last ability stakes. I managed to complete all the levels in one evening using just one continue. This is serious, particularly for those who have played and completed the original and who are coming to Sonic 2 with plenty of prior knowledge and skill. And there's two other side comments from different reviewers, and both of them also talk about how disappointed they are by just what a complete cakewalk this game is start to finish. What do you think?
I mean, I will say this, like, other than the, like, don't beat it in your first evening when you rent it, and from what you're saying, the ending, like, I do think that it's easier, right? Like I did not, once I got over that hump, like, it was not that bad to get through all of the levels, and that's from me, right? Like, am I probably getting a game over per zone? Sure. But probably the next time I go in, I'll get to the next zone. You know, like, it's really not that, like, I see what you're saying. On the other hand,
Hmm?
maybe it's
Just
nice to
reading what
just
they say.
play through a game and be like, look, he goes fast. Look, there's my buddy Tails. Look at all the cool stuff. Maybe you don't, maybe there's more to a game than just like, did I manage to finish it or not? You know?
Yeah. I don't necessarily agree with these reviewers, but I will certainly wield them as a weapon against you.
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna like, if you're like it's easy for people, and I'm like I didn't have nearly as much trouble with it as usual throughout. Like, it was just the one section. Then, like, that's not wrong.
I just think you better thank your lucky stars that you're dealing with me, because if you were playing this game in 1992, these game reviewers would have eaten you alive. They would have fucking beat the fuck out of you at the
What are you
first
talking about?
utterance
I
of this is a bit tricky. They would have taken their magazines and slapped you around.
I would have been playing it with my elementary school friends who would have loved to have me there because it would make them feel good about themselves. They'd be like, "Oh man, I'm so good at Sonic. I'm probably the best in the world because the only other kid on my block, he can't even get past the zone 2, and I'm getting all the way to zone like 6 or 7. So I must be great." You know, they'd love me. They'd be my best friend.
That's not how friendship works in my experience. Least of all, I happen to have particular experience with one of the parties of this hypothetical friendship.
You just make it way too fun to antagonize you, is what
You're
it
right.
is.
It's definitely on me. Let's move on to the minor mail opening
If
this
you just
week.
had
We have
joy in your heart every time I failed as opposed to
we
anger, it'd be different.
have some comments from the Peanut Gallery out there talking about last week's game, Sid Meier's Civilization. A lot of nice comments from the folks this week. This episode, I'm happy to say, did relatively well on the internets. It became almost like a minor viral hit.
Wow.
And I gotta say, officially, friendship ended with Ultima fan base. New friendship
Whoa.
with Civilization fan base has begun.
Whoa. Oh man, Ultima heads, you're on notice. Listen, that doesn't
Because,
mean the relationship's over. They've just become our enemy now.
oh yeah, sure. So fuck you, Ultima fans. Now that said, a lot of these people who commented in the Civ episode, a lot of them didn't actually have much to say about the game itself. There were just several very nice comments just saying, "Oh wow, this channel deserves more subs," and "Oh, the intro was so well done." I'm not saying that just because I do the intro, but there were multiple comments saying the intro was so good. Just so you know.
They probably mean like the song because I contributed vocals to that too, so that's probably
Yeah,
what
no,
they
I just
mean.
didn't. Weirdly,
they
I
were-
didn't read any that said like that one guy who sucks at games really is contributing. I love him. None of those came up this week. But let's see. Steve P said he started playing Civilization on SNES in anticipation of this episode, and the SNES version manual also not a good read, according to him. So good to know. User Knuckles2761 refers to this as, yes, the famous chariot manufacturer game. That is a lot of what you're kind of doing in this one, isn't it?
I did make some chariots.
Sure, sure, why not? Matthias, I don't know. This guy must be Finnish or something. His name is
Uh-oh.
Matthias Gorgens with an umlaut over the O. I don't know if it's like Gorgens or Gorgens.
I wasn't
Gorgens,
listening when you
Gorgens,
spelled it, but
Matthias Gorgens. Sorry, let's just say
Ghergens?
Matthias. I think I wouldn't say the H, right? Matthias.
Yeah,
Call him
Matthias
Matt.
Ghergens, maybe.
When you said it sounded racist. He suggests do Master of Orion next, the original 4X game. The term was coined in a review of Master of Orion. And I suggest going with the community patch. We will take that under advisement. That may be our next step for the 4X genre. Probably a good suggestion. And someone named American Analyst also said more 4X, please. So some people want it.
People want 4X. They're crying out for it.
Philip 1408 also agreed and said about when we talked about the board game Catan, and said I detest Catan. The dice never favor me, and generally I don't really enjoy it. So take that, Klaus Teuber. It's the guy who designed Catan.
Fuck that guy.
We also got an email this week from longtime listener Wisp Paladin.
Yes. Oh, so presume this means that it was, in fact, Wisp Paladin who was asking about us doing more 4X games. Because I think we were speculating. We were saying somebody asked and maybe it was him.
Yeah, I always knew who it was.
Okay. I thought it was. Wasn't sure.
A measured, generous response to last week's episode. Wisp writes, "Greetings, bad boys. Though I was a bit surprised that Yins jumped straight into Civilization instead of a more basic grand strategy / 4X game. After listening to the episode, it was clearly the correct decision. Both of you were able to point out the fundamental joy and suffering of the genre as a whole. That sometimes it takes 1,000 hours to realize a basic mechanic or find that single useful graph in the game. Weeks to months of suffering without it, and then the sudden joy that what you wanted is available, and has always been available, is a feeling that few other games can offer. And the hope for the game developers is that that feeling is more like Will's, I will sink my teeth into this game for the next year to master it, and not Jonathan's, clearly there are things I just don't understand and I just don't want to learn. And both are fully justified feelings for a player to have."
Yeah, I guess it does depend on it depends on so much of what I'm feeling, because when you describe it like that, like there's a graph that would just tell you what you need and it was there the whole time. That when you say it like that, it kind of pisses me off in my head. I don't know. But it is true that it's the sort of thing that I do like when
That
I
wouldn't delight
like it.
you?
If I knew where that graph was the whole time and I just didn't know how to use it or read it, then it would probably delight me to eventually figure it out.
If after 1,000 hours you finally discovered what an air bubble looks like, would you be delighted? What a discovery
Well,
I've made.
it's not a graph is the problem.
I mean, it goes up.
It's not a
Some graphs
spreadsheet.
do go up.
That does sometimes happen to a graph. It's true.
I thought Wisp Paladin was going to tear me a new one, but no.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Yeah, it was nice to you. Said that was valid or whatever. Now, I do think that it's funny that all these 4X players are like, why didn't you start with like the early first ones? Whereas I would have been, I'm over here like, like Civ? Maybe there's an earlier one. I haven't heard of it. I'm wondering if maybe you're kind of in the same boat where you're like, the reason I didn't do that is because nobody other than you freaks has ever heard of these.
Yeah, well, so Master of Orion, which was suggested, is later than Civ. That comes next.
Oh, okay.
It's the first place the term was originated, but it was later. Wisp does say a more basic, not an earlier one. So I don't know what their recommendation would have been.
Gotcha.
But I do think in terms of chronology, like I said, maybe like Railroad Tycoon we're missing, but it's not the same thing. So I don't really know. Maybe we should have played the board game from 1980. A special episode.
Just play Risk. That'll be our... Put it on the Patreon.
You can do that. Not me. Someone named Mishmash also said they subbed because of our Animorphs reference, and I informed them, if you like that, have I got news for you.
Good news, my friend.
There's a lot more where that came from. Our previous podcast.
Go listen.
All right. That's pretty much the end of our show. However, I do have something I'm going to share with everybody before we go. And it's a little tribute that I put together for a nice game and a nice guy. And you can listen to it right here.
Me?
Right now. Not you.
Oh.
Someone else.
Okay.
Here it is. I used to feel like I didn't need a partner. I used to feel like I didn't want a friend, till he came to the city of emeralds. He picked me up and together we fly. I run through the hills with my one companion. Well, he's still back there, but it's cute that he tries. See, he's not as fast as I am, 'cause I'm Sonic. So it's not my fault that I leave him behind. I don't have a lot of time. Gotta save the day. Robotnik's doing lots of crimes. Building a death egg. Hardly ever see your face. 'Cause you're always late. Tails, you gotta hurry up. I'm not gonna wait. No. It's hard to believe, but he's slow as molasses. I bet I'd be faster if I was alone. He gets in the way and he loses rings for us. How do two tails even make someone fly? Like, physics-wise, that doesn't make any sense. I don't have a lot of time. Gotta keep the pace. Robotnik's doing lots of crimes. Great, now he's in space. I'm already through this zone. You're in the same place. Tails, you gotta hurry up. I'm not gonna wait. No. Oh, no. Too slow. Hurry, I say, speed up. Inside a special stage is where he messed me up. Need 100 rings. I could not get enough. Need 7 emeralds now. Forget it, can't get one. He's making me slow down. I am not gonna wait. Oh, no, too slow. Oh, no, I said, oh, too slow. Gotta juice.
I really liked the spin dash into ring sound effect at the beginning there. That was a nice
Mm.
little synced well with the music.
Mm.
You're like,
It's a,
yeah.
it's a lot like someone seeing the play you put together and telling you the lighting was great.
What? It's an important element of it. I liked it. That
All
really
right.
sold me, right off the bat. I
Okay.
was like, I like
Just
this.
okay, yeah. It just feels like the thing I put the least amount of effort into.
Well, it was nice.
Okay. All right.
Wait, you put the least
Well,
amount of effort into lighting? I think all the like lighting people.
okay, well,
I feel like those people are crazy. They're probably
I
mad
guess
at you right now.
in this metaphor, I'm an actor in the show.
Ah, okay.
You see, not the stage manager,
Right.
perhaps the writer of the show. Anyway, Red Hot Chili Peppers, I think, have a lot in common with Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of just a general vibe and an era. I think like, they both kind of got a lot of
Okay.
attitude.
I mean, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah,
Both kind of
attitude.
edgy, kind of
Okay.
annoying. For those of you keeping track at home, I usually don't like to do any overlap with existing Weird Al parodies. Now, in this case, of course, you know that on his 1993 album Alapalooza, he opened with Bedrock Anthem, which is
hmm
primarily a parody of Red Hot Chili Peppers' Give It Away, but it does begin with a brief parody
hmm
of Under the Bridge, which is a rarity for Weird Al. There's only 2 or 3 songs like that where he actually parodies multiple songs in one song, and this is one of those cases. Now, he does only do that very first verse
Yeah.
and then jump straight into Give It Away. So I felt that that was room enough
Yeah.
for me to step in and take over.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like that's not the iconic part of that song, so I think it's okay. Like it's people aren't gonna be like, wait, Weird Al. I know. Yeah, I think it's fine. I agree with you.
Cool. I'm glad to hear it. Listeners, if you have thoughts on Weird Al or that song or Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or, I'm sure many people have the opinion that both of us should shut the fuck up and they hated listening to this episode. You can leave a comment here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube, or you can email us, for either case, badwithgamespodcast@gmail.com. We'll read it on the air. Even if it's mean, we'll read that too, and we'll just tell you to go fuck yourself. So don't hold back. And you can check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/badwithgames. You get bonus episodes there, plus early access to videos like the Sonic video, which is up right now. Or you can find our bonus podcast every week, Bad with Everything. This week, in conjunction with Sonic 2, we're going to be watching the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon that is just called Sonic the Hedgehog. Don't get it confused. And you can also check out our twitch.tv/badwithgamespodcast. Once again, Saturday afternoons at 1 p.m. Eastern. Will is continuing to play through the Mario series, and it's a lot of fun to join him over there. Next week on the show,
Yeah, Jesus Christ, you done yet?
believe it or not, next week is the season finale. Well, I guess it's not. I
Oh
guess there's a
shit.
season
Yeah,
finale episode, but it's the last
the
game of the
last game
season.
of the season. Yeah. So start thinking about what you might want to say for the season finale because we only got 2 weeks
All
left here.
right. Didn't I last year do a whole thing where I sent out a poll or a
Oh,
survey
I
early?
think you did, and maybe nobody engaged
No,
with
no,
it.
no.
Oh,
People
they did.
did.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We did it. We responded to it. We
Well,
read it.
there's still 2 weeks left before we
Shows how
do
much
that.
you
So
appreciate them.
yeah, no, I don't give a shit.
Well, maybe I'll splice it into the beginning of the episode, and I'll make that happen, so that we can get viewer feedback because we do awards and all the kind of stuff like that in our final episode. But next week we have one more big game to cover. You're probably wondering what game is big enough from this early '90s period to really go out with a bang for season 2. And the answer is none other than 1993's Doom. id Software's pivotal first-person shooter, Doom. You don't want to miss that one. Stay tuned for next week.
Not Dune. Doom.
Doom.
No worms, I don't think.
Doom.
Gamers
All
out!
caps. Bye.